Mohamitaki Api, Alpeta Yuha. Hello, my relatives. I hope you're having a good day. Mike Jetty, Indian Education Specialist here at OPI, and I'm honored to welcome you to our third Tuesday's Professional Development webinar. And today we're going to be talking about health enhancement and traditional games and just having fun with Indian Education for All. And so I have the pleasure and honor of introducing Scott Flatlip, my little brother from Crow, Montana. And Scott's just going to share a little bit of what he does in his work. And he's been teaching at Hardin for 6.5 years, going to go on 7 now. And so we're honored to have Scott here with us. And as Scott's presenting, feel free to put your questions in chat. And then as you jump on, let us know where you're coming from via chat. And Joan Frankie is putting all the information regarding renewal units in the chat. And just so you know, this workshop will be recorded too if you want to go back to it later on to catch something Scott said. So with that, I will stop talking and let you take it away, Scott. One thing you should know about Scott, though, he is so smart, it only takes him a half an hour to watch 60 minutes. So with that, Scott, take it away. Hoka.
Balaja, wego da, ego shoot. Be up saloguk. Be hookala shakdela, be skipko way about. Hello, everybody. My name is Scott Flatlip. I am a 6-year teacher here at Hardin High School. I teach health enhancement, which is a fancy word for PE and health. And yeah, we'll just get right into it. So I titled my presentation as Indigenous Games Physical Education by me. And we'll kind of go from there. So a little bit about me first. I am a husband, a father, and a sibling. Here's my family, my brother Thompson. This is when we went to Eugene, Oregon with our USA TF track and field club. The first club in our area, in the Crow Reservation area, Bighorn County area. And then there was me and my family when we went to Washington, D.C., just for a family trip. So I'm kind of going off of what I've seen with the kind of the model that I'm kind of supposed to follow. So I'll start out with my resources. Me being a PE teacher, I do utilize the sports education model. The sports education model is basically a way to get all students involved. Let's say you have a student who is not very athletic. You can give them a job and they have purpose, which kind of correlates with kind of Indigenous teaching. Everybody in the village, in the tribe, would always have some type of job. And so I'm in my classroom right now and someone just now came in, so forgive me if I look at my door. And so the sports education is the closest model to what Indigenous people kind of practice. Crows specifically, me being a crow, and that's the main one that I use. And then other resources that I kind of pull from or have pulled from have been the International Traditional Games Society. So I took the level 1 course up there in East Glacier. It was a great experience. I highly suggest it to anybody wanting to just kind of learn anything different as far as like movement goes. They have a great way of teaching, and it's all kind of correlated with the games that you'll see in the Montana OPI traditional games booklet. You know, they kind of pull from there, which is also another resource that I pull from, just in case I want to look for a game, or I'm like, hey, what's this, or how do I play this, or so I use that one quite a bit as well. And then probably the biggest one that I really pull from is kind of oral history taught by my father. who's passed away last year. And some of the teachings that he talked about of like games and like movement and just a way of life of how Apsáalooke would do certain things. So that's kind of where a lot of my information comes from. And that's, again, straight from my father. Other resources as far as like actually having something is chokecherry trees. Let's see if I can remember how to say the name. Bajua Dahila is chokecherry tree. And then willows, basically any kind of stick that you can see and kind of form into something would be a good resource to have, because if we don't have, like I did a presentation down in Toronto and they had different types of trees. And so we had to kind of figure out what was going to work for those individuals there. And so basically chokecherry trees, willow trees, cottonwood trees, a lot of the things that you'll see is like, buffalo hides, because this goes back to like way back in the day where the indigenous people would follow the buffalo, the Plains Indians would follow the buffalo, and so buffalo hide, fur, deer hides, basically most deer hides and fur were kind of really utilized with a lot of the things that the Apsáalooke people did. And so that's basically most of my resources that I kind of pull from. I guess one of the strategies of kind of teaching is I use the sports education model a lot with a lot of my classes, a lot of my units, because it just gives everybody a purpose, gives everybody a job. It switches. You can switch things here and there, and it works. And when I did my student teaching, I utilized the sports education model with the game of shinny, which we'll kind of jump into from there. So again, going back way long time ago, before the buildings that you're sitting in and the homes that you're sitting in, long time ago, there was people who roamed this land, one of which was the Apsáalooke Nation. And so these 4 individuals you see here are getting ready for a foot race. So any game, any activity that Crows did, Apsáalooke people did, was meaningful and it had purpose for what they did. It basically, it revolved around hunting, war, or just living. And so you can see here the 4 individuals are getting ready for a foot race, and that still happens today. And then up on the top here, you see crows again throwing arrows. I think crows are one of the only ones here in Montana that have arrow throwing as a part of their culture and their beginning and creation stories. Again, I don't really know about other tribes about throwing arrows, but specifically crows had crow arrow throwing, which you could see there. And that's just a picture that I've always kind of seen growing up. And then we have, so a lot of the games that are played today, and a lot of the games that were played by the Plains Indians or indigenous people, were kind of adopted games or learned and then kind of brought back. And so these games here, they're kind of, it doesn't really show like too clear of the games, but this is the game of shinny. Both games here are shinny. And since as long as I can remember from the teachings that my father gave me, were, we've played and exchanged games with many different tribes in our area. And as a way to settle disputes. Sometimes war wasn't always kind of a thing. It was like, you know, like either stick games or settling disputes that way with games to keep things kind of like going. So a lot of times there's a misconception that Indigenous people or Plains Indians were, you know, these merciless Indian savages that killed and murdered each other. But that's, you know, not really true. There was a lot of understanding and kind of like they were able to work differences out without having to fight or have war. And so games were always a way of doing that. And so here you'll see a lot of times people don't really tell you how to go out and find certain sticks. So you see here, I have a stick here. This is a chokecherry stick. The Upsalaga people will utilize the chokecherry sticks with their sweat lodges, with their arrow throwing, with their teepee stakes, with their teepee pins. With the berries that are on the tree, they utilize a lot of the things that are on the tree. And so here's a video of that process. And I tried to adjust the volume to where it wasn't too loud, but I hope that it's not too bad. And I'll explain what's happening too. So in the first video here, you'll see me searching for basically this stick, not this individual stick, but a stick that happens to be a chokecherry stick. So as you can see, that's the chokecherry stick, the tree that goes into the ground. That's what it looks like. From what my dad had taught me, that this is how they've been doing and looking for sticks for many, many years. And so that's basically just kind of passed down. Video here and just really showing what it looks like coming out of the ground and kind of what to look for, because not all of them look the same. So you can see this one here has two different types of it's almost like a hook. You could see there, you could see that really good there. But this portion here is what you would kind of mainly look for, where it's kind of like an L shape. This stick was kind of unique in its own way. Each one is. And so this is the reason why I got this one, because I could really like kind of scoop the ball up with this one. And so each one is different again. And then the last video here. The last video is me taking the stick all the way out. And so you can see there, it's pretty similarly close to looking like a kind of a golf club or a putter or a kind of a hockey stick or something like that. And so that's basically one of the ways that I grew up learning how to look for sticks. And sometimes it would take me, 30 minutes to find a set of sticks, or sometimes it takes me a couple of days. It just kind of depends. It depends on where you're looking, how the ground is shaped. And so you have to remember, going back in the day, Plains Indians, the Upsalaga people, were really good at looking at the trees and being like, oh, that tree would be really good for this. That tree would be really good for the berries. That tree is a good tree for the stakes and the pins. We'll use those trees, and we'll use this tree for like extracurricular, gaming sticks. And so that's basically one of the ways to look for sticks. Once you have the sticks, it's just kind of a learned game. They would watch the young people would watch the game being played by the adults, or the teams, and they basically would just kind of model from there, kind of like when you go to a basketball game, you see all these little kids running around and they're modeling, they're shooting, or they're kind of doing some of the same moves. It's exactly the same as how the games were played, whatever game it was playing, if they were playing shinny or double ball or hand games or jump the stick or hoop and arrow, or if they were arrow throwing. And again, kind of like how today we have basketball players that were like, hey, that person's really good, and we'll follow them, we'll do what they do. It was basically the same thing back in the day when there was warriors that were like, hey, that's my favorite warrior growing up. They had role models as well. And so here's me when I first moved back. This is a summer program that I was fortunate to be involved in, teaching the Crow youth about some of the games. This is shinny. So this picture here is pretty good because a lot of times there's a lot of misconceptions with some of the games that I play. Some people are pretty worried about the games I play. They're like, oh, you're gonna give this stick to a kindergartner, and so yes, it's a part of the game, and it does. You'll be surprised with how you teach the game. Of course, as teachers, as educators, understanding that there's certain rules, modeling, showing what you want. Like, this is what I want to see, rather than being like, I don't want to see this, because usually with the younger grades, you tell them what not to do, that's exactly what they're going to do. And so this session here was pretty fun. A lot of the students really enjoyed this session here. And so moving forward, this is present day. So you could see two different areas of age difference. You could see that I'm with the younger ones here. Kindergarten, first grade. I think there's like a third and fourth grader in there as well. But majority are kindergarten, first and second graders in this picture here. And then we move on to the video here, and this is adults. And it doesn't matter who you teach, doesn't matter how long you've taught. If you struggle with explaining what you want, then you'll have stuff like what's happening to me. So this is basically a drill. As PE teachers, as health enhancement teachers, we're trying to practice the skills that we're going to be using in the games. And so what I was trying to do was trying to have two players on the same team on one side, and so it was pretty interesting to kind of have some fun with the adults here, and kind of like, oh yeah, like both sides, both teammates are on this side, and so they were lining up across from each other. And so kind of moving on from there is again skills thing with physical education, with health enhancement, practicing skills at any age is going to benefit the game, going to benefit players' confidence. It's going to benefit the team. So shinny here, the game that we're looking at, is basically a team game. You have to cooperate with each other. There's nonverbal communication. There's verbal communication. There's all kinds of team-oriented aspects in the game, which then in turn transfers over to, if I'm in war or battle, I have to understand that I have to trust my teammates. I have to trust my war party that I'm with. And so these games played at a young age up to adulthood were basically ways of practice for war, battle, and hunting. And so this video here shows a little drill. It's a little skill drill. Is just pulling the ball out. Whoever's the fastest wins that round. This is where you can utilize the Crow language. You could say "Awada duba dawa go" or "Awada duba dawa," and then they go. Just giving them keywords like that, utilizing the language. So "Awada duba dawa" is basically counting down. "Awada" is 1, "duba" is 2, and "dawa" is 3. So 1, 2, 3, go on 3, and then they kind of go from there. And again, it's just pulling the ball, and you can utilize pretty much any kind of ball that you want to have. And then here's again, then we're breaking it down into a smaller groups, 2 on 2, but the same concept. And this one you can kind of hear them kind of laughing around, but what I've kind of taught them about the language, even though some of them are more fluent Apsalaga speakers than myself, you can hear some of them speaking the language. So you could see there, again, it's basically just skill building there. And so with physical education, it's breaking down what do you want them to learn, you know, just like with most education subjects, you're looking for the end result. So I want them to be able to play this game by following the rules and so on and so forth, utilizing the skills such as hooking, passing, dribbling, and shooting. And so this is basically me here in my gym. And this is just a foam ball. So the other created objects that they would use would be buffalo hide, and sometimes they're kind of like misshapen and they don't really roll very well. Versus a ball like this on a flat surface, it's going to go pretty much in a straight line, depending on your stick. And so here again, just basically going back to skills things, you know, just utilizing, breaking down skills, showing, modeling, pushing, and a lot of times students with new games are pretty receptive of the games. And so you could see here again, I'm really just kind of breaking down, like, this is what you're doing, pushing the ball, that's all you're doing. So sometimes you have partners, you can have multiple partners, but this is again just basically with a partner, one-on-one. So I have a partner, I pass the ball, they pass the ball back, and it's basically the same thing moving forward. And then this is the hooking motion here. So you could see the hooking motion in the 2 skills videos that I showed you with the adults. This is one of the games, which then you play a mini game to practice those skills as well. So these are basic skills of shinny. Again, it's just pulling, pushing, dribbling. And then again, here's me kind of further back. This is a little bit of dribbling. This is where you can add in just kind of moving down, going around cones with your team. And then you can be like, hey, I want you to do this with your team. Push the ball all the way down. Once you pass the ball to your teammate goes back to the other side where you started, and kind of going from there. And that's kind of basically how you build the skills from there. Once you build the skills of like, oh, okay, this is how you dribble the ball. This is how you, in this situation, pull the ball or hook the ball. This is how you pass the ball. Then you get into, this is how you score. This is how you score the ball. And so here is a couple of shooting, or I guess shooting the ball at a target, practicing. Now, keep in mind that that's the same stick. This is the same stick, the curled stick here that I have is the same stick that I have in this video here. They're both the same exact stick. So you could see that it's very difficult to kind of really shoot the ball this stick would work great for hooking or pulling the ball towards me. That's basically kind of a defensive tactic there. And again, with shinny, it's basically going back into my health education, health enhancement education, physical education background. It's basically an invasion game, just like football, just like flag football, just like ultimate frisbee, soccer. It's basically like lacrosse. Those kind of all translate into invasion games. And so you here again, you see skills. It's skills. Basically, you're building skills for your students to build off of and learn. And again, you can use this as a warm up. You know, hey, I want you to go with the younger students. You could be like, hey, if you have letters in your gym, you can be like, hey, I want you to go and spell your name with the ball. So then they go and then they're looking for their name. S, and I'm going to S, and I shoot the ball at a S, and then a C, and a C, and then I go to O, and then a T, and then I shoot it twice. And that's just kind of spread out all over the gym as well. And so in this situation here, it's just me just shooting towards the camera, really. So there's really just basic stuff kind of from there. Then we move on from here, and then you kind of see what the game would look like with a group of students. So this was another presentation that I did in the summer, and we just had run a 5K, me and my kids, and we came into this presentation. And so basically, you would set up your field and have everything ready. Cones. Sometimes I didn't have cones. Sometimes I didn't have a lot of sticks. Sometimes I didn't have a lot of things to hold my goals up, or maybe the ground was really hard at the time to hold my goals up. So then you can see here in the video that I have my goal, and it's kind of held up with a cone. Here you can see them playing. Now, a lot of times people are like, oh, hey, you know, it's kind of unfair to have this student play against these students. But with the game of shinny, it doesn't really matter. You know, you play, you know, boys and girls. You can play mixed. You can play, you know, boys and boys, girls and girls. Kind of, you can always switch things up depending on your, you know, what you have in your classrooms. And so with this middle video here, you could see that there is older students, so like college students, and then you see that there's like fourth graders, third graders, and kind of middle schoolers as well. And so in this video, again, it's just basically playing together, playing the game, utilizing those skills. So you could see that they're trying to pass the ball, they're trying to hook the ball. Then to this last video here. And again, it's just them pushing the ball, dribbling, passing, relying on their team to pass the ball or shoot the ball. This is about 5 minutes worth of playing. So they were playing for quite a bit of time, and which is it's pretty long. That's pretty long to be playing in this game here. So and so basically that's it. So you build your skills, you work on the skills with mini games, and then when you're able to get into a bigger game, then you practice those. And so that's basically kind of how you build. Then we move on to other games as well. So again, utilizing some of the same concepts as what we just now kind of went over is breaking down the skills needed to be successful in the game, and then going from there. So a lot of times we don't really get that with even some of the games we play, like we play basketball, you're just like, all right, go ahead, have fun. And then some students don't do good, and it kind of like affects their confidence. And so breaking the skills down is basically a way to move forward with those games in IEFA. And so this game here is double ball. The stick that I have there is like a willow stick. The objects that I have there is the double ball, which again is filled with fur. It has hide. This is the material, but typically traditional double ball you would see as a hide, all hide and fur, couple of small rocks or pebbles, and maybe even some sand inside to kind of weigh the ball down. And so then it's basically the exact same. So I have videos here, some skill stuff, and it's basically the exact same. So here are some football is a little bit easier as far as skill stuff. There's really just passing, shooting, and then defense is just you're just knocking the stick down. If you can see the stick here. Basic skills.
Hey Scott, something's happened with your volume. I'm wondering if your video is trying to share volume as well as you speaking live.
Oh, that's videos though, but so can you hear me now?
That's better. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So the videos again, but so so with the game, well, I go like this now. How do I stop sharing, Mike?
So if you go to the bottom of your screen, there you go.
Okay. So coming back, so kind of like finishing up with the skills part. With the sticks and the skills and the double balls and the shinny sticks, it's basically just the fun. The best part of the classes are the skills, learning the skills. You have students who are really good at a different sport, and they try to play this sport, and then they're not very good, and it kind of gives them that, I'm not good at this game, and then it kind of gives them a way of like, hey, I'm not good at this game. I'm usually good at all games. I need to practice even harder, or I need to work on this skill a little bit better, and makes it that much more enjoyable from there. And so then, yeah, so that's pretty much everything that I have as far as like skill stuff. A majority of what I've done in the past is kind of comes from questions. And so, yeah, I guess if there's any questions, we can start that now.
Scott, I got a question. Is there a game that students really like playing the most that they request? Hey, Mr. Flatlip, I want to play this game.
So right now, so with the games, the Montana OPI has the booklet, and that's online. You can find that. But it's getting the sticks is probably the most time consuming. And then kind of going from there and learning the games and the skills and breaking it down and kind of just sometimes taking the leap of faith and being like, hey, you know what? A lot of times I do a lot of presentations all over Montana. And a lot of times the questions that I get are, me being a non-native, me being a non-Indigenous person, is it okay for me to teach this? And my answers are always, to a certain degree, yes, it is. It is fine. It's fine to be okay with learning something new and not knowing, and but it's understanding the history behind it, understanding that these games are played by many different tribes, and each tribe plays the game differently. Maybe they have different words for different sticks, and the way that they, maybe that the way they are pronouncing this stick compared to this stick. And so just understanding that part is the challenging part for educators. And so in my area here, the population in our area is mostly Apsalo Gas students. And so for me, it's pretty easy to teach because that's basically who I am. And it's easier to be like, oh, this is what I learned growing up, and this is how I learned this game, and so this is what we use for the sticks. And so yeah, that's pretty much kind of how you kind of go from there.
Any other questions for Scott? Feel free to unmute yourself.
Is there any questions, or is it just like, do I wait, or what do I do? Mike, I need some help.
This is where you practice your wait time and eye contact, Scott.
Am I supposed to read comments? I don't see the comments.
There's no comments right now, but I'm just curious to see if anybody's got a question. Like, what about, you didn't really mention hand game or anything, or stick game.
Okay, I see a hand. Jennifer?
Hey, Scott, this is Liz.
How does it work?
Can you hear
This is
me?
the one part I don't know how to do.
Can you hear me?
Questions part.
Yeah, we can hear you, Liz.
Unless I can't hear, maybe
I just want to say
my
that I
volume
took
again?
that
My volume
did
not
that
working?
class with the traditional games, and it was so good. And I teach science at Castle Rock Middle School, and I noticed that kids don't have a lot of manual dexterity. So these games are so good, and I just
Liz,
like to see.
I don't know. I can't hear Liz. It seems like Liz is talking.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Not sure what's going on.
I don't even
here.
know how to put my real picture up there. I've just found this.
Don't know if it's my
dog
volume.
avatar.
Can you hear me? I don't know if my volume.
I can hear
think I turned my
Scott.
videos off. Here, I'll close it up. I'll close my videos off. Maybe that's what it is.
I just want to say that I love that these are not expensive equipment like most sports equipment is, and that kids can learn to use what's around them.
I'm not really sure. Can you hear me now or no?
I can hear you. I can hear Scott. I'll mute myself so I'm not interrupting him.
Oh no, Liz, this is perfect. But Scott, you can't hear us right now?
I'm not really sure what's going on. I think I'm not really, I don't know what's going on. Okay, you can hear me now. All right, so I'm not sure what's going on. My computer is, I think it might have been my videos maybe. So I closed my videos off, but
can you hear us now?
yeah, so basically questions, if there's any questions, Liz was just giving you a shout out. Oh, okay, cool.
Hey, Scott, I have a question.
I'm not able to hear anybody. I'm not.
Can you cannot hear me? Hello?
On my part?
You can't hear me? Shoot. Well, that's a bummer.
Is it my headphone? Phone's out.
Can you hear me, Scott?
Okay, so now I can hear. So I couldn't hear at all. I couldn't hear because I could see your little boxes kind of coming up.
Oh, okay, good. So you can hear me now.
Yeah, I
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, I was just wondering if you could speak to what are some of the things that you just have really felt that with your students' participation in, the activity that you did, that their sense of pride really grew. And, you could really tell that you had made a difference by some of your activities. Are there any activities that stand out that kind of lead you to those situations where you can tell with your kids they're connecting with the culture?
I think just me being an Upsaloga person, I think that's the biggest part. Like sometimes some of the games that we play, they've never played before. They're like, oh, I've never played this game before, or I've never seen this game before, or I've never heard of this game, or nobody's ever mentioned this to me ever in my childhood. And then sometimes it kind of gives a little bit of a little kind of a piece of of the puzzle of the puzzle that's kind of amongst this whole big piece of puzzle. It's a small piece that goes into the puzzle, and then they're kind of like, oh yeah, this game is cool. This is the reason why they played this game, and this is the reason why some tribes were really good at battle and hunting, and I think that part then kind of connects to like, oh man, I'm that tribe, and it gives them a sense of pride about their culture and their who they are as a indigenous person. And so it just kind of varies, but that's basically kind of how I connect from there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? I think somebody else had a question.
I don't have a question. I have a comment. I saw you this summer and in Missoula for the PE conference, and I just thought it was so awesome. We got to play shinny as adults, and we were definitely sweating. And then one of my coworkers, she came down with me. We went out and actually did get some shinny sticks made. So when we came back in the fall, we played shinny with the kids, and about half of them had the actual sticks and the other half we just used hockey sticks. But it was super cool. We just did a Native American heritage like celebration. The Daily Interlake came out because I'm up here in Kalispell, and they did a full like Sunday page article, so you can actually see the kids in the newspaper with the shinny stick.
Nice.
We played the rock and Phys, we played ring the stick, all of those games that are OPI. And then we had some crafts and stuff going on as well, but it was super cool, and I really appreciate just you being available to just teach us these things. It's just really awesome, and I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for that. Yeah, so the conference that I presented at is the Shape Montana. Used to be formerly known as the AFERD group. And yeah, I teach physical education teachers or health enhancement teachers how to play some of these games. And so every once in a while I'll jump in there. If I'm not doing a big race, I usually jump in and do a presentation or two, or a dancing one as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool that you were there. Any other questions?
Well, hey, Scott, should we demonstrate hand game for these guys?
Yeah.
All right, so you ready? You choose for me.
All right, that way. Hey.
All right. Well, that's something fun. That's a really easy game too, is you can pretty much have anything, an eraser or a rock or anything you can do hand game with and figure out a way to score. So, but yeah, we can bet too, Scott. You ready?
Yeah.
but I think that's one of the things that's fun, playing these games, and it gets kids engaged. And so thank you for what you're doing over there in Hardin and statewide, sharing these games with folks, Scott. And I'm sure that people that tune into the webinar, it's just good to see, get a little explanation behind it, and then to actually see it, the demonstration you were giving. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
So want to make sure that, if you're on the webinar, sign up for the renewal units and the feedback survey. Joan's got all that there in the chat, and make sure you join us at the Best Practices Conference in Billings. Are you going to come over for that, Scott? March
Oh
8th
yeah,
and 9th?
what are the dates?
March 8th and 9th will be in Billings. So
Oh, nice. I might have to jump in there.
yeah, so we'll be right in your backyard. So we're coming to
Yeah,
the
yeah, that's
country.
cool.
So, but
Just
if
put it in my
anybody, no one,
calendar.
what's that?
We'd love to see you.
Just put it in my calendar.
Yeah, and
I'll send you some an email with some of the details, Scott.
Yeah, yeah.
We'd
yeah.
love to have you there.
Yeah, I'd like to go.
so I'll say maybe to close out the webinar, we could all play Run and Scream.
Oh,
Soon as
yeah.
we shut
Nice.
off our
Yeah.
machines, we can just head out running and screaming. So how's that sound? But in a good way, we're running and screaming because we're happy. We just heard a really cool webinar.
Yeah, yeah. I had a video of Run and Scream, but it wouldn't play. So I don't know. But yeah, Run and Scream is always a good warm up to as a part of any Indigenous game that you have, because it's always a way of like, you can really, if you really wanted to, you could really like get some laughs in those classes and kind of loosen up the class a little bit with Run and Scream, because it takes bravery to do that. But at the same time too, a lot of the games that are played by the Indigenous people are all meaningful, purposeful games meant for survival, really. That's basically what it comes down to. So yeah, Run and Scream is one of my favorite warm-ups that I do.
All right. Well, cool. Well, I'm gonna Run and Scream out of OPI now. So Scott, thank you so much for sharing today. Really appreciate it. So
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank
You're welcome.
you.
thanks to the teachers. Thank you, Tika, Nicholas, for showing up, and Liz, we appreciate you, and thank you for what you do.
Yeah, thank you so much. I enjoy these so much because I made those game pieces a while ago, and it's just so good to get a refresher on them, because I made my own shinny ball with leather, and I made my own double ball, and I still have my my bag full of all my sticks too. And
That's
it really
awesome.
does work on eye-hand coordination. All of those things do.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing, Liz. That's awesome.
Yes.
It chick.
Well, stay.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, we'll see you guys around, and thanks everybody for attending tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank
Thank
you, Mike
you.
Jetty. Thank you,
Thank
Scott.
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.